please take your seats so we can begin the rally. Thank you. Everybody is taking their seats. So people who are standing and milling about, let's get in our seats, please. Everyone needs to take their seats. Let's go. Come on, everybody. People over here who are talking, it's time to move to your seats, please. Photos are done. I can go. Okay. Hey, everyone. My name is Martha Haythorne, and I'm here to help us make some noise for Medicaid. A quick note, if you need captions, please go to the ARC US YouTube to follow our live streaming of the event. I'm 25 years old. I have Down syndrome, and I'm proof that when people with disabilities get the support they need, we thrive. I'm a college graduate. I have an important job that I just finished at my state capital, and I live independently, all because of the support that Medicaid makes possible. Here's what that looks like for me. Medicaid means I have a direct support professional who helps me so I can have my own place in Midtown with my roommates and live life on my terms. Medicaid has me where I need to go. I use my mobility, even have a model card. Medicaid gives me freedom. It lets me work, learn, and build the life I want. And here's the truth. We all deserve to be seen, valued, and supported. No one should be pushed aside or forgotten. But that's exactly what will happen if Medicaid is cut. Millions of people with disabilities and their families rely on Medicaid every day. Without it, they lose the support that makes life in the community possible. We cannot let that happen. Are you with me? We have an incredible lineup of speakers today who will break down what's at stake. But first, let's be loud. Let's be clear. I am Medicaid. Don't cut me. Say it with me. I am Medicaid. Don't cut me.
Thank you, Martha. My name is Elizabeth Graham. I'm honored to be one of your MCs. I'm an autistic, bisexual, transgender woman, a community advocate, educator, and former direct support professional. I work full-time at the ARC Prince George's County as a service coordinator for the Maryland Medicaid waiver for children with autism. I'm also on the ARC U.S. National Council of Self-Advocates. I've spent the last couple of days here at the DPS learning about policy issues, and I could say from the work that I do and from what I've learned from you all, Medicaid is definitely important and it's in jeopardy. Our first speaker is a member of Congress, Danny Davis, from the 7th District of Illinois. He is a strong advocate for people with disabilities. He has been a fierce advocate for protecting and strengthening Social Security. Representative Davis introduced the SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act, and that is a critical step toward updating outdated asset limits and improving the economic security for millions. Let's give a round of applause for Danny Davis.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it's so good to see all of you here. I'm certain that there are some people from Illinois. I have no doubt about that at all. Well, let me tell you, it's important that we are here. And I want to thank you not only for the seminar that you've had, but also for your continuous engagement, involvement, participation, and advocacy to try and help make our country the country that it ought to be, as opposed to the country that somebody else think it ought to be. And we ought to be doing exactly what you're doing. Of course, I'm pleased that I actually serve on the Ways and Means Committee and serve as the Democratic lead on issues involving SSI, Social Security, homelessness. All of those are important. And let me tell you, it has taken a long time for this country to come to grips with disability rights, rights for individuals who may have a little more of a problem doing something than somebody else. But I can tell you we've come forward and will not go backwards. And as long as you are engaged, involved, participating, yeah, there are people who want to cut everything in sight, everything that's good for people. Who would ever think that you'd cut Medicaid, the lifeline for individuals who need assistance for health care and for disability care and disability rights? And so I used to have a gentleman who chaired our disabilities committee, and Mr. David Benz always said he didn't really have any kind of disability. He was just a little more physically challenged. And because he was physically challenged, we had to do more and do it more continuously. So I thank you for being the lifeline for disability rights, for making sure that your issues and the issues of individuals who need governmental assistance is always in the forefront, on target. Have a wonderful day and just keep on coming. Keep on coming. Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici from Oregon's 1st District. She has a strong track record in supporting child care and education, especially for those with disabilities. She has introduced important legislation such as the RISE Act, which will ensure IEP and 504 plans are accepted as proof of disability to start the accommodations process in institutions of higher education. And we are grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. As you heard, I'm Suzanne Bonamici, and I represent the 1st District of Oregon. Welcome to Washington, D.C. We have some sunshine for you here today. But we are here to send a strong message to protect Medicaid, right? Let's do that. Protect Medicaid. So I want to recognize Disability Rights Oregon. I know we have some folks from Oregon here today and NADD for being here. Thank you, everyone. Your voices are so important right now. I'm really inspired by the work that you are all doing. Your voices here to improve opportunities, to improve outcomes for people with disabilities. Now, since the president took, well, not since the president took office, even before the president took office, he and his administration have done nothing but belittle the community. We will not stand for that. So equity, and we can still say that word, equity will be achieved when no one with disabilities falls through the cracks in school, in the workforce, or in society. So we must meet our obligations as policymakers here in the United States Congress. We must meet our obligations so everyone with disabilities can learn, work, and live with dignity. This means providing not only resources, but also the support we need to help people with disabilities thrive, and not slashing programs to give billionaires a tax cut, right? So, in addition to fighting to save Medicaid, we're also, as a member of the Education Committee, working hard to fight against the dismantling of the Department of Education. So I've been an education advocate for years, even before I was in Congress. I have never, ever had anyone tell me we need less resources for IDEA. We need to fully fund IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. That's been a priority of mine since I joined Congress. We know that the federal government is obligated to provide at least 40% funding. We are not there. We must fully fund, not cut IDEA. So I'm also working on what you heard about is the RISE Act. Respond, Innovate, Succeed, and Empower is RISE Act. And this is really groundbreaking legislation to reduce the burden for students who moving from high school to college, to increase the likelihood that students with disabilities get the support they need to stay in and graduate from college. And despite what this administration is doing, we know that you are seen, we respect your voice, we're glad you're here, and your voice matters. So I will continue with my colleagues to do this work in Congress, but thank you for being here to lend your voice. Your advocacy is very critical, especially in these unprecedented times. So please, tell your stories, talk about why this matters to you, and we are in the fight with you. Thank you again for being here in Washington, D.C.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. I actually first met him in 2014 when I was a direct support professional at Jubilee Association. He was a guest of honor at our annual fundraiser. Senator Van Hollen has championed numerous pieces of legislation supporting people with disabilities, including the ABLE Act and the IDEA Full Funding Act. Prior to serving in the Senate, he represented Maryland's 8th District in the House of Representatives and in the Maryland State Legislature. We are so glad to have my Senator, Chris Van Hollen.
Thank you, Lizzie. Well, thank you, Lizzie. Are there any Marylanders in the House? All right, a lot of Marylanders. So it's great to see all of you Marylanders and people from all over the country gathered here today to send a very important message, which is hands off our Medicaid. We're going to say that together, hands off our Medicaid. Now, look, we know from experience that we are dealing with a bully in Donald Trump. There's no other word for it. We've seen him mock, we've seen him insult people across the country, including people in the disability community, including disabled veterans. And we're all here to say we're going to stand up to bullies and make sure that they don't take away Medicaid and other important services for the American people. Are we going to send that message? And I would side with all of you, all of the organizers of the Disability Policy Seminar from all over the country. I will side with you any day. I know how determined you are. Many, many of you have faced discrimination. You've faced bullies before, and you know how to stand up against discrimination and bullies. And you did that in 2017 when we prevented Donald Trump from destroying the Affordable Care Act, right? And we are going to stand up this time around and prevent Donald Trump from taking away Medicaid. Now, in the Senate just last week, we went through a lot of votes. We were here till about 3 a.m. in the morning because Republicans in the Senate were trying to pass this tax cut or lay the foundation for tax cuts for the very wealthy by paying for it in part by cutting Medicaid. Now, this should not be a bipartisan issue. And I will say I have worked on a bipartisan basis on many important bills in the past. For example, on the ABLE Act. For example, on other important disabilities rights issues. But on this issue right now, what we are witnessing is that the Trump administration and Republicans in the House and the Senate are trying to pass this very big tax cut that disproportionately benefits the very wealthy and big corporations. And they're looking for ways to try to pay for part of it. Make no mistake, it will add huge amounts to our deficit and the debt. They're going to put a lot of it on the credit card, but they also want to cut in other areas. And one of the cuts that the House bill especially targets is Medicaid by about $880 billion. And that's not my number. That's the number the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan accounting office, came up with as to what would be required for them to hit those targets. So we are in another big fight. We're also witnessing efforts to dismantle big parts of the Social Security Administration and CMS. So I have another question for you. Are we going to let them dismantle big parts of the Social Security Administration? Or are we going to allow them to dismantle big parts of CMS? So we have to fight back. We have to fight back in the courts. We have to fight back in the Congress. And we have to fight back in communities all over the country. And I know that you're doing that because I believe strongly that when you create ripples in every community around the country, it does build a wave. And the wave can help make sure that we stop bad things from happening and make good things happen. You stopped bad things from happening in 2017. It was one vote. So you know how hard we have to work. You know we can't take anything for granted. Right back then, the House of Representatives passed a bill to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. It came to the United States Senate, the same kind of procedure, what we call reconciliation. And it was by that one vote, with every Democrat joining with Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and yes, John McCain, when he put his thumb down, that saved it. You all saved it because we heard from all of you. So I'm so glad you're here now to make sure your voices are heard. I also want to thank you for being in the fight to protect and expand special education. Because it was back in the 1970s that our country made an important promise that every single child deserves and has a right to the best quality education. And we passed the IDEA legislation back then. That was a very good thing. But as you know, the federal government has always shortchanged the amounts of money that were promised back then to fulfill that promise, which is why I've been introducing, and with your help and support, we will ultimately pass the IDEA Full Funding Act. And it may not be done in a year or 2 years, but I am confident that over time, we will prevail on that issue. For now, our challenge is simply to make sure that under the Trump administration, they don't backtrack on IDEA, that they don't block grant IDEA. Because if you look at Project 2025, they call for block granting IDEA. And that is just another way of saying that they want to reduce and cut IDEA even further. Are we going to let that happen? Hell no. Hell no, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to help make sure that we protect IDEA and ultimately expand it. We're going to make sure that we protect Medicaid. And all of you are here to send that message. And I'm so heartened to see all of you here today. With your help, just like you prevailed in 2017, we will prevail right now in 2025. Thank you all very much for what you're doing and for being in this fight and making sure that all patriots stand up at this moment in our country.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Representative John Larson from Connecticut, 1st District. He is a steadfast advocate for Social Security programs and is currently a ranking member of the House and Ways and Means Social Security Subcommittee. And we are grateful for his support of these essential programs for people with disabilities. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning. Isn't that Chris Van Hollen something? Well, listen, and so are you. This is vitally important at this time, and especially because of what's going on Pennsylvania Avenue. Let me ask you a question, first and foremost. Raise your hand if you're making more than $400,000. Well, I've had a perfect record so far. She's not raised her hand, she's taken a photo. So, but in East Hartford, my hometown, this one guy raised his hand, and I know him, and I was feeling, I said, "You're making $400,000? He said, "No, but it felt good to raise my hand." What doesn't feel good is what they're attempting to do down there. And the reason I start with 400,000 is because all of these issues, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, they need to be paid for. They don't only need to be protected, they need to expand. President Biden had it right. Lift the cap on people making over $400,000. Just doing that with regard to Social Security allows us to enhance the program, especially for people with disabilities who have died waiting to get their disability check from the federal government. The nation's number one anti-poverty program for the elderly and the number one anti-poverty program for children is Social Security. It also serves more people with disabilities, especially veterans, than does the VA. It has never missed a payment. You are being told that it's an entitlement. It is not an entitlement, it's an earned benefit. Whose? Yours. You're the ones, the people of this great country of ours, that have put this money forward. Why do I say this? President Trump has called upon Elon Musk to find $2 trillion in cuts. Now, they say, the president says he's not going to touch Social Security, but call me a little suspicious. How much money is in the Social Security Trust Fund currently? $2.7 trillion. When I say money, I'm talking about your money. And that money isn't to be used to privatize Social Security, wreak havoc on Medicare and Medicaid, so that this administration can say, well, us billionaires know what's best for all of you. That will not happen as long as you keep coming to Washington, D.C., as long as you keep speaking out, as long as people in these chambers, whether you're in the minority or the majority, speak vociferously. That's a pretty good word, isn't it? And make sure that they're aware. All 435 congressional districts, more than 73 million people receive Social Security currently. Over 5 million of your fellow Americans get below poverty level checks. Below poverty level. In the wealthiest nation in the world, they're getting below poverty level checks and taking a cut so that billionaires can have more money? Give me a break. Elon Musk is worth more than $500 billion. It's hard to even conceive that. And with that, he and Donald Trump are saying, look, we know what's best for America. And all you have to do is just listen to what we have to say. Because, you know, We're geniuses. God bless him. God bless Elon Musk. I wish I had $500 million. But you know what? What's the most important thing are the people in this country that Franklin Delano Roosevelt recognized and that Lyndon Baines Johnson recognized need our help. And when I say help, it's not simply to protect Social Security and Medicare. It's to expand it. The last time Social Security was expanded by the United States Congress and paid for, Richard Nixon was president of the United States. That was 1971. Rise up, fellow Americans, and make sure that every single member that you see this week understands the gravity of what they're trying to do with regard to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Let's all unite together. Let's all make sure that we continue the fight and never give up, because we're called, the preamble to the Constitution says, we the people, for a reason, because it is the people's government. Rise up, speak out, continue to put the pressure on every member of Congress, House and Senate, and the presidency to do the right thing for their fellow Americans. God bless you. God bless America.
All right. Our next speaker is going to be a wonderful self-advocate colleague of mine, Tia Nellis.
Okay, I think you guys haven't had your coffee this morning because I can't hear you. And if I can't hear you, the Capitol can't hear you. If I can't hear you, those Congress people can't hear you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a chant so that they do hear you. So I am going to say to you, I am Medicaid. And you are going to say, don't cut me. So you ready? We want Congress to hear you loud and proud. Ready? I am Medicaid. Louder, I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! Let's see what side is louder. So we'll start with this side. You ready? I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! Now all together, nice and loud. I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! That's getting better. So take a deep breath. And this last time, we are going to blow the socks off of this Congress people. Ready? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! I am Medicaid! Okay, go out there and kick some butt.
Thank you, Tia. Our next speaker is Matthew Plants, who is on the board for the Autism Society of Maryland and was recently awarded the Autism Society of America's Self-Advocate of the Year Award, and we are so glad to have Matt.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Plants. I get funded by Medicare, because of I have type 1 brittle diabetes, and it helps me have staff that are at my house awake overnights, and I have poor vision, so it helps me out in the community when it's nighttime. Staff help me. I get to go to my church. I get to go to my girlfriend's house. I get to do whatever I want. Whatever I want. Within reason. And if Medicare was cut, I would either be in a hospital, institution, or it would not be a good story. So, right, they saved my life because when I had a diabetic seizure and a coma, I basically was like unconscious until the first responders got there. They assisted me. I was unconscious. So I do not like that having to go back into hospital, and I haven't had to go to the hospital for a while. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you, Matt. All right, our next speaker is Representative Mike Lawler from New York's 17th District. Representative Lawler has been vocal about his support for people with disabilities. He introduced the ADA 30 Days to Comply Act, and that aims to streamline the process for individuals to report violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The bill will give businesses a 30-day window to address and resolve accessibility issues, and we are happy to have you here. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here with all of you. You got a beautiful day out here overlooking the Capitol. A little chilly, right? A little chilly, but it's nice out. But I appreciate the opportunity to stop by and speak with all of you. The IDD community is one that is important to me. It's important to our community. It's important to our country. I've long believed we, as a society, have a moral obligation to help those who cannot help themselves or need assistance. And the reality is that it is the responsibility of government to support the long-term care and needs of the IDD community. Both during my time in the state legislature in New York as well as here in Congress, I've been a staunch advocate for the rights and protections and financial support of the IDD community, including the professionals who take care of them. Our direct support providers need the resources to be able to do their jobs and do them effectively. When you have people, and this is not to denigrate somebody who is an Amazon driver, but when you have people driving an Amazon truck getting paid more than a direct support provider, there's a fundamental problem with how our system is operating. The fact is we have a workforce shortage across the country. When you look within the IDD community, the fact is we need trained professionals. You have to be equipped both in terms of your skill set, but also your empathy, your character as an individual. You're dealing with people who are in a most vulnerable state and need your support. It's not just a job we can fill by finding somebody, off the street. The reality is you need somebody who is trained, and in order to have the best people, you need to pay them a fair wage. And so being able to pay our direct support providers is critical. In addition to that, one of the issues that I know is of grave concern, especially for those parents who are aging out, is the long-term housing needs of their child. The IDD community, the reality is there is just not enough housing available to provide for everyone that needs it. And we have to do a better job of investing in long-term housing for those that need long-term care, especially those that need 24-hour assistance. And so that is something that, to me, should be a priority of both the federal and state governments around the country to make sure that the resources are there and that we are building more housing within the community. Because one of the things that I've seen in New York, oftentimes parents have to travel hours to go see their loved one, their child, in a facility that is just not close to home. And so we need to do a better job of making sure that there are options within proximity throughout all of our communities. And so that's something that, to me, is fundamental. Now, let me address the elephant in the room, which is the issue of Medicaid. I want to be very, very clear about something. We are not cutting Medicaid for anyone in the IDD community. We are not cutting Medicaid for our seniors. We are not cutting Medicaid for our children. We are not cutting Medicaid for those who need and rely on this critical program, period. This is vital for so many families across our country, many times through no fault of their own or circumstances beyond their control, that they need this critical assistance. And so, yes, we have challenges across our country. We are $36 trillion in debt. Over the last 2 decades, we've added $30 trillion in debt in 2 decades. We have a $7 trillion budget. We're spending $1 trillion on interest annually. Over the next decade, we're projected to spend $86 trillion. And so we are dealing with real challenges that we have to address, but we have to do so honestly and in a fair way that does not inflict harm on anyone. And that is my commitment. That is my promise to you, that we will continue to make sure that this vital program is protected, especially for those in the IDD community. There are a group of members, myself included, who have met with the Speaker, who have met with leadership, who have met with President Trump. President Trump has made clear he does not want to cut Medicaid for anyone that is entitled to these benefits, period. And so we will work through these challenges, keeping all of you in mind, making sure that the services that you rely on are protected, because this is a life or death situation for many people in this country. And I, for one, will stand up to make sure that you have the services that you need. So in closing, I just want to say, again, I think we are so blessed. One of my former colleagues, Mark Molinaro, when he was county executive of Dutchess County in New York, created the Think Differently initiative. And the objective was to recognize that every single person, regardless of their abilities, is a gift from God and has the skills and talents to do and to be part of our community and needs to be treated with dignity and grace. And so, as I stand here today, it is in solidarity with everyone in the IDD community, the families, the providers, the caregivers, those who give of themselves selflessly to ensure that our most vulnerable population is protected. And so I just wanted to stand here today and thank each and every one of you for being here, for putting a face to this important issue, and making sure that your voice is heard in the process. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is someone who I'm sure you recognize from the session in the morning on Monday, Sean Eliong.
We repeat after me. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back to the old days. Today, we are here to let Congress know that Medicaid is a part of our society. Medicaid is a part of everyday life. Medicaid is a part of how we move throughout the whole community.